The desert on Jara 9 didn't just kill you with heat, it made fun of you while doing it. The sand shimmered like it was laughing, the twin suns beat down like a cruel spotlight, and every breath tasted like regret and metal, and right in the middle of it all, trudging through dunes in a hooded cloak and half-melted boots, was Rogan Vale, a man whose luck was so bad that even the sand fleas avoided him out of pity. He had one bottle of water left. One. And of course, that's when he found her. She was sprawled across a dune, tail flicking weakly, skin glinting under the suns with that strange reddish shimmer unique to the desert beast folk. Her clothes looked like they'd been torn in a fight or an enthusiastic escape. Hard to tell with that species. Rogan squinted. Oh, perfect. A half-dead alien. Because dehydration just isn't fun without company. He approached cautiously. The woman's ears twitched, tall, pointed, dusted with copper fur. Her breathing was shallow, lips cracked. He muttered, "Don't you dare die." "I don't do funerals." Too much sand in the shoes. Then, sighing at his own soft spot for lost things, he knelt beside her. "Hey," he said, shaking her shoulder. "Still alive in there, cat ears?" Her eyelids fluttered. She hissed weakly. "Not cat. Wolf. Oh, good. I almost gave you a species identity crisis." He popped the lid of his bottle and held it out. "Drink." She blinked at the bottle, confusion flickering in her golden eyes. You offer water?" "Yes, because dying of thirst is a bad look." She stared at him like he'd just proposed marriage. Which, spoiler, he had. Accidentally. The alien, Koresha, though he didn't know that yet, lifted the bottle with trembling fingers and took a long, greedy sip. Her throat moved delicately as she swallowed, and Rogan had to look away before he started imagining things he shouldn't. When she handed it back, her voice was soft, reverent. "You share your essence, your life. You claim me," Rogan blinked. "And what now?" She smiled faintly, then promptly passed out. "Yeah," he muttered. "That's about how my relationships usually go." By the time she woke up, the suns had dipped lower, casting molten orange light over the dunes. Rogan had built a small shade tarp out of scavenged fabric, his boots, and about 3 swear words per knot. The alien stirred, eyes narrowing at him suspiciously. "Human." "Yup, unfortunately." He offered her a ration pack. "Eat before you pass out again. I'm running out of arms to catch you with." She sniffed the pack, then sniffed him, tail twitching. "You smell strange. That's called hygiene. You should try it sometime." Her ears flattened. "You mock your mate?" "Mate?" Rogan coughed mid-sip of his own water. "Whoa, hold on. I gave you water, not a wedding ring." She tilted her head, utterly sincere. "On my world, sharing water is sacred. It means our breaths mingle. Our fates are bound." "You are mine now." Rogan froze. "That's definitely not in the interspecies travel guide." Her expression softened into something smug and predatory. "You may not resist." "It is done. Lady, I just wanted to keep you alive, not start a honeymoon." She leaned closer, voice a teasing purr. "Then you should not have poured life into my mouth." He groaned, rubbing his temples. "Oh great, you talk like my ex." The wind kicked up outside the tarp, howling through the rocks. They sat in awkward silence for a bit, the kind that usually precedes either romance or violence. Koresha studied him intently, tail curling lazily. "You travel alone?" "Always. You fight?" "When paid. You mate." Rogan almost choked on his ration bar. That's a hell of a third question." "It's important," she said seriously. "I must know the strength of my new human. I'm not your— forget it." Her smirk was wicked. "You blush easily. I burn easily. Twin suns, remember?" She laughed then, a low throaty sound that made the back of his neck tingle. It was probably the first real laugh he'd heard in months. Rogan tried not to stare as she tore open the ration pack with sharp little fangs and devoured the contents like it was a feast. "So," he said cautiously, "what were you doing out here?" "Besides dying stylishly," her ears twitched. "Escaping. Hunters from the southern tribes wanted me." "Wanted you for what?" "Breeding," he blinked. "You know I was not prepared for how casually you said that." Koresha shrugged, unconcerned. "They want my kind strong." I refused. "Good for you." He looked away, pretending to focus on his compass. "No one should be forced into, whatever that is." She leaned closer again, voice low. "Would you refuse me?" He froze, bottle halfway to his lips. "Lady, I barely know your name." She smiled, fangs flashing. "Koresha." Bless you. It means one who hunts the stars. Cute. I'm Rogan Vale. Means guy who really regrets not dying in the crash site 5 days ago. She chuckled again, and for a moment her fierce demeanor softened, the way her ears drooped slightly when she smiled. It was dangerously endearing. He caught himself. Watching her too long, she caught him catching himself, and that was how the awkward flirting began. When night fell, the temperature dropped fast. Jaranine's desert wasn't content just to roast you. It liked to freeze you for variety. Rogan started a small heat lamp under the tarp. Karesha scooted closer, shivering slightly. You cold? My fur is not thick enough for night. Yeah, I noticed. He glanced at her outfit. More straps than actual fabric. Fashion choice or cultural statement? She raised an eyebrow. You are looking. I'm surviving. Peripheral vision's a side effect. Humans are strange, she mused, curling beside him. You pretend not to want what you clearly desire. He turned away. We also like personal space. Then you should not have shared water, she murmured, pressing closer for warmth. He sighed. I swear, I'm going to start carrying dehydration disclaimers. She tilted her head up at him, eyes glimmering in the blue glow of the heat lamp. Do human males always speak so much before mating? Do alien females always skip foreplay straight to paperwork? Her tail flicked. What is foreplay? Oh boy. Rogan buried his face in his hands. I've made a huge cultural mistake. As they rested, Karesha hummed softly, something primal and rhythmic. Rogan found himself drifting between amusement and fascination. She wasn't just some feral desert dweller. Her gear, her markings, the strange metallic jewelry woven into her tail, it all hinted at something older. You from one of the ancient tribes? He asked. She nodded. Before the humans came, before the skyships burned our sands, he hesitated. We didn't mean to. Not you, she interrupted gently. You shared water. You are different. That made something twist in his chest. You sure about that? You don't know me. Her gaze was unwavering. I know your scent, your heartbeat, your hesitation. You are kind. He tried to laugh it off. Kind? That's a first. You also hide pain behind humor. Rogan blinked. Okay, you can stop psychoanalyzing me, Desert Yoda, she smirked. Is that a challenge, mate? Stop calling me that. No, please, still no. Fine, he grumbled, lying back on the sand. But if you start snoring, I'm unmating you. Sometime in the night, a sound stirred him awake, a low growl outside the tarp. Rogan reached for his blaster instinctively. Karesha was already up, crouched like a predator, her eyes glowing faint gold in the dark. 3 figures moved among the dunes, shadows. Heavy breathing, the scrape of metal, she whispered. Hunters, your kind or mine? Both. Well, that's comforting. The first shot whizzed past his head. Rogan rolled, returning fire, bolts slicing through the darkness. Karesha darted forward with impossible speed, claws flashing in the starlight. The fight was a blur of sand, snarls, and blaster fire. Rogan swore as his blaster overheated. Remind me, he shouted. How do you say I surrender in your language? Karesha tackled one of the attackers, pinning him with a growl. You do not. Yeah, figured. When it was over, the sand was littered with scorch marks and the distant smell of ozone. The attackers had fled or fallen. Karesha stood panting, tail lashing, her eyes wild. Rogan exhaled, lowering his weapon. You're insane. She smiled, breathing hard. You are alive. He couldn't argue with that. They collapsed under the tarp again, silent except for the wind. Rogan's heart was still racing. Karesha's was too, audible even through the rustle of her movements. Then she leaned in close, her voice low. You fought beside me. You bled beside me. Now it is sealed. What is sealed? Our bond, he groaned. Lady, I just want sleep, not an alien marriage certificate, she smirked, tail curling over his leg. Sleep beside your mate, human. He sighed, muttering, You're lucky you're cute. Her grin widened. I know. And for the first time since he'd crashed on Jara 9, Rogan fell asleep smiling, half amused, half terrified, and completely doomed. When Rogan woke up, the first thing he noticed was warmth. Not the desert kind. The soft, dangerously comfortable kind. Something heavy was draped over his chest. Something breathing. He blinked, turned his head slightly, and saw a tangle of Red hair, twitching ears, and a furry tail that had apparently decided his stomach made a good pillow. "Karesha," he muttered, half asleep. She hummed without moving. "My human. Not yours. Then why are you beneath me?" He groaned. "Because gravity hates me." "Your excuses are weak," she murmured, nuzzling his shoulder. "You smell good when scared." Rogan sighed, staring up at the makeshift tarp fluttering in the dawn breeze. "You really have no concept of personal space, do you?" Karesha sat up, stretching like a satisfied predator. The sun's caught her silhouette, and Rogan decided that if the universe was trying to punish him, it was doing a spectacularly distracting job. "Do all humans talk this much?" she asked, pulling her hair into a messy knot. "Only the smart ones. The dumb ones are dead." She tilted her head. "You are alive. For now. Thanks for the pep talk." They packed what little they had. 2 ration packs, half a bottle of water, 1 half-broken compass, and a heat lamp that smelled faintly like burnt lizard. "Where are we going?" Rogan asked. Karesha pointed toward the horizon. "The stone gate." "The big glowing arch thing?" "Yeah, saw it. Looks like trouble." "It's ancient," she said, voice reverent. "My people call it the sky tier. Beyond it lies sanctuary. Or more sand." She smirked. "You humans see nothing but dust. We see destiny." Rogan rolled his eyes. "Yeah, well, destiny better have shade." The desert stretched endlessly before them. Rolling dunes, broken ruins half swallowed by sand, and the occasional shimmer of mirage. Karesha walked ahead with purpose, her tail swaying rhythmically. Rogan tried not to stare, which only made him stare more. She noticed, of course. "You look hungry," she said without turning around. "I'm not... Wait, what? For water, yes?" "Oh, right, water. Definitely that." Her smile was audible. "Humans are strange." "So I've heard." They stopped near a jagged rock formation to rest. Rogan took a cautious sip from his bottle, then offered it to her. She hesitated, eyes flicking to him. "You share again?" "It's called being nice. It's called reaffirming our bond," she corrected. He sighed. "Why do I feel like I'm accidentally renewing vows every time you're thirsty?" "Because you are." "Fantastic." "I'm in a hydration-based marriage." Karesha grinned, fangs glinting. "In my tribe, that is the purest kind." "Of course it is." They resumed walking. Rogan's boots crunched through sand while Karesha moved with feline grace, barely disturbing the surface. After a while she asked, "Why do you mock what you fear?" "I don't fear you." "You do. I hear it in your breath." He shot her a look. "You hear my breath?" She smiled faintly. "I hear everything. You hide behind humor, but your eyes betray loneliness." "Wow," he muttered. "You'd make a hell of a therapist." "What is therapist?" "It's someone who listens to your problems and then charges you more than they're worth." She nodded seriously. "So, a merchant of emotions." "Exactly. And I'm broke, so therapy's out." Karesha's gaze softened. "You can share your pain with me instead." "Lady, I shared water, not trauma." Her lips curved. "On my world, they are the same." They reached a rocky ridge overlooking a canyon filled with ancient machines, rusted metal skeletons half buried in sand. Rogan whistled. "Looks like the graveyard of bad decisions." Karesha's expression darkened. "The war machines, from the first human landing. They came, they took, they burned." He shifted uneasily. "Wasn't my crew." "I know." She crouched, tracing a clawed finger along a half-buried plate. "But the desert remembers." He watched her silently for a moment, the teasing gone from his tone. "You've lost people, haven't you?" She looked up, eyes glinting. "We all lose something. My tribe lost home. You lost hope." He wanted to deny it, but couldn't. Karesha smiled gently. "You hide behind words, but your heart still beats for something." "Yeah," he said, "mostly for caffeine." She laughed again, that wild sound that made the desert seem less empty. Later, as the suns reached their zenith, Rogan's patience began to melt faster than his boots. "Remind me," he said, panting, "why we're walking through the planets." Oven instead of, say, building a sandcastle and dying in peace? Karesha handed him a small, translucent fruit she'd scavenged. Eat. It restores strength. He bit into it. Tart, juicy, surprisingly sweet. Huh. Not bad. She watched him closely. You eat like a child. Thanks. You flirt like a knife. Her tail flicked. A sharp compliment. That wasn't. Never mind. They found shelter under a fallen archway. Rogan sank down, groaning. If I survive this, I'm filing for a divorce. Karesha sat beside him, smirking. You cannot divorce fate. Watch me. She leaned in. To leave me, you must defeat me in combat. He blinked. That's your law? Yes. Traditional. Great. A prenup that comes with bruises. Karesha leaned closer, voice dropping to a sultry whisper. Unless you surrender. He raised an eyebrow. Surrender how? In my people's way. Rogan's heart stuttered. Which is? She smirked. You'll see. He swallowed hard. I have a bad feeling you'll see involves a lot less clothing. Her tail brushed his arm deliberately. You are learning. Hours passed. The air cooled as the suns dipped. They camped near an ancient metallic pillar, its surface carved with glowing runes. Rogan sat beside the faint fire, poking it with a stick. You ever wonder what these ruins were? Karesha nodded. The old gods, maybe. Or the first travelers. They left gates that opened between worlds. He squinted at the distant stone gate, glowing faint blue. Think it still works? Perhaps. And what happens if we go through it? She smiled slowly. Maybe paradise. Maybe death. Great odds. Love those. When the wind picked up, Karesha moved closer again, curling near him for warmth. Rogan tried not to notice how soft she felt, or how her tail kept sneaking closer like it had a mind of its own. She murmured, You think too loudly. I think privately. You wonder if you truly want to be bound to me. He stared at her. Do you read minds, or just enjoy guessing wrong? She smiled, eyes gleaming. You protest too much. Because you're trying to marry me via hydration and snuggling. In my tribe, that's called courtship. Well, in mine, it's called Wednesday. Karesha chuckled, leaning into him. You will learn our ways. Or die trying, he muttered. Same thing, she said with a grin. Later that night, while Rogan was pretending to sleep, Karesha spoke softly into the dark. When I first saw you, I thought you were like all humans. Cold, empty. But then you shared your water. He didn't answer. He wasn't sure he could. You gave life when I had none. That is not something my kind forgets. He finally said, I didn't do it for a reward. I know. That's why it means more. The silence stretched. Then she added quietly, Sleep, human. Tomorrow we reach the gate. He turned his head toward her silhouette under the twin moons. Karesha? Yes? Next time warn me before declaring cosmic marriage. Maybe bring flowers. She smiled. Flowers die, bonds endure. Of course they do. Before dawn, Rogan awoke to find her sitting outside, watching the horizon. The wind played with her hair as she muttered something in her language. A prayer, maybe. Can't sleep? He asked. She didn't look back. I dreamt of hunters, of chains. You're safe, he said softly. For now. She turned to him, eyes shining faintly. You fight well, Rogan Vale. Not like a human mercenary, like one who has nothing left to lose. Yeah, that's about right. Then maybe, she said, you have something to gain. He smirked, like Sand Rash and an overly affectionate wolf girl. Her tail flicked his shoulder. Affection is a gift, and humility is apparently extinct, he muttered. She stood and offered him her hand. Come, the sun's rise. Time to face destiny. He took it before thinking. Her grip was firm, warm, real. As they set off toward the towering stone gate shimmering in the morning light, Rogan had the uncomfortable realization that somewhere between dehydration and sarcasm, he might actually like her. The stone gate rose from the desert like a wound in the world, massive, silent, and humming faintly with a low vibration that made Rogan's teeth ache. It shimmered with blue lines of energy pulsing in lazy rhythm, ancient, alien, and probably very interested in killing anyone who touched it. Rogan squinted up at it. "So this is it? Your sky tier." Karesha stepped forward reverently, her tail twitching with anticipation. "The passage between life and legend. Those who cross may never return." He nodded solemnly. "Fantastic. You really know how to pick vacation spots." She ignored him, placing her palm on the smooth stone surface. The runes flared to life, spreading outward in intricate patterns. The air crackled. The sand beneath their feet vibrated. Rogan instinctively backed up a step, hand on his blaster. Karesha? You sure this thing's not gonna explode?" "It listens," she whispered. "It judges. Well, it's giving me performance anxiety." A ripple of light moved up the arch, and the center shimmered like liquid glass. A faint voice, ancient and hollow, spoke in a language that sounded like thunder echoing through bones. Karesha bowed her head. "It knows we are bound. Please don't tell me you announced our relationship status to an ancient god machine." She smiled slightly. "It must witness the union before it allows passage." Rogan blinked. "Wait, what union?" Her eyes gleamed. "You shared water. You fought beside me. Now you must share breath." "Share breath?" He frowned. "What does that mean exactly?" Karesha took a step closer. "Oh no," he muttered, backing up. "I know that look." "It is our way," she said, voice low. We breathed together. "Hearts align. The gate must feel it." Rogan swallowed. "That sounds suspiciously like kissing." "Your word is accurate. Well, too bad." "Because I don't—" She grabbed his cloak, pulled him in, and kissed him. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't even particularly romantic at first, more like a collision of oxygen and stubbornness. Rogan froze, his brain doing that wonderful human thing where all thoughts turn into static. Then, against his better judgment, he kissed her back. The gate pulsed, glowing brighter with each heartbeat. The air around them swirled, sand lifting into spirals. When Karesha finally pulled back, her eyes were half-lidded, her voice a husky purr. "The gate accepts." Rogan blinked, dazed. "Accepts what?" "That I'm doomed? That you are mine." "Yeah, that tracks." The gate roared open. A vortex of light spun before them, tugging at the air, distorting everything. Rogan shielded his face, shouting over the sound. "You're sure this won't rip us apart molecule by molecule?" Karesha grinned, wind whipping through her hair. "Only one way to find out." Before he could argue, she grabbed his hand and dragged him in. Light, heat, weightlessness, then impact. Rogan hit the ground hard, coughing. The air was different, thick, electric, alive. When he opened his eyes, he saw they were no longer in the desert. They stood in a massive chamber carved from black stone, walls covered in glowing script that pulsed with faint blue light. Strange vines glimmered with bioluminescence. Pools of clear liquid reflected the ceiling like mirrors. Rogan exhaled. "Okay, not dead yet." Karesha looked around in awe. "The lost vaults of the first tribe. They're real. Great. So we broke into an ancient temple. What could possibly go wrong?" As if on cue, a deep rumble echoed through the chamber. The runes on the floor flared to life, forming concentric circles. Karesha's ears flattened. "It's testing us." "Testing us how?" She pointed toward a stone pedestal where a holographic figure appeared, an armored being with 4 arms and glowing eyes. It spoke in a booming voice neither of them understood. Rogan muttered, "I'm guessing that's not the welcoming committee." Karesha drew her blades. "Prove yourself, human. The gate watches. I don't even know what I'm proving." She grinned. "That you are worthy of me? Oh, fantastic. A death match for romance." The figure moved. It lunged. Fast. Too fast for something made of light. Rogan dove aside, blaster drawn, firing instinctively. The shots passed through the projection, sizzling uselessly. Karesha darted in, her claws crackling with strange energy. She slashed through one of its arms, and it howled, but didn't fall. Rogan cursed. "It's made of energy." "We can't kill light!" "Then we fight until it stops shining." He groaned. "I hate alien logic!" They fought in tandem, awkwardly at first. Her with animal grace, him with stubborn human improvisation. She leapt from pillars, slashing glowing runes. He shot at unstable nodes that flared when hit. The hologram adapted, its shape flickering, multiplying. Rogan shouted, "You didn't tell me about the boss battle phase." Karesha ducked under a beam of light. "Prove yourself." "I'm trying not to die." "Does that count?" She snarled, lunging at the figure again. Her blade met light, and the room exploded in a flash of blue energy. When the glow faded, the hologram flickered and vanished. Rogan stood panting, covered in dust. "Tell me that was the easy mode." Karesha smiled, fangs flashing. "The gate is pleased." "Good. Maybe it'll give us a hotel voucher." As they caught their breath, a deep hum resonated from the center of the chamber. The pools of water began to glow, forming patterns that mirrored constellations. Karesha knelt, dipping her fingers into the nearest pool. "It shows the way." Rogan crouched beside her. "The way to what?" "Home." He studied her face. For the first time since meeting her, she didn't look like the confident, teasing warrior. She looked hopeful. "You really think it's still out there? Your tribe?" "I must believe it," she whispered. "Otherwise I am nothing but sand." He hesitated, then said softly, "You're not nothing." She looked at him, ears twitching. "Careful, human." That almost sounded like affection. "Don't get used to it. It's probably heat stroke talking." Her smile was small but real. "You have a strange heart." "Yeah, it keeps getting me into trouble." They set up a small camp near the glowing pools. The chamber was surprisingly warm, filled with the sound of distant humming, like the place itself was alive. Rogan leaned back against a smooth stone pillar, watching Karesha examine the runes. She moved with purpose, eyes bright, tail flicking in concentration. "Never seen anyone so excited to read cave graffiti," he muttered. She glanced back. "These are stories of my people. The first ones to walk between worlds. Lucky them. No sandstorms. Or maybe too many," she said, tracing a line of symbols. "They built the gates to escape. But not all returned." Rogan frowned. "So we might be stuck here?" She shrugged. "If so, you have me." "Comforting," he said dryly. "At least I'll die married." Karesha smirked. "There are worse fates. Name one." She leaned closer. "Dying without me." "Yeah, wait, is that supposed to be romantic or threatening?" "Both." They shared rations and a quiet moment. The light from the pools reflected on her face. Softening her features, Rogan said quietly, "You know, for someone who tried to eat my water bottle on first meeting, you're not that bad." She arched an eyebrow. "A compliment?" "An observation. I will take it as affection. You'd take a gunshot as affection. Only from you," she said sweetly. He groaned. "You're incorrigible." She tilted her head. "Big word. Meaning?" "Meaning hopeless. Beyond help." She smiled. "Then we are the same." For a while they sat in silence, both staring at the glowing gate beyond the pool. Rogan finally said, "What happens when we find your tribe?" "You just go back? Pretend this didn't happen?" Karesha's ears lowered slightly. "My people will not accept you easily." "Because I'm human." "Because you are mine." He blinked. "I'm the problem?" "In their eyes, yes. But I will fight for what I choose." Rogan looked at her, surprised by the quiet conviction in her voice. "You'd fight your whole tribe for me?" She smiled. "I fought the desert for you." "The tribe is easier," he chuckled softly. "You're insane." "Only when thirsty. Don't even start." As they settled in for the night, the chamber lights dimmed naturally, as if responding to their presence. Karesha curled up near him again, tail lazily brushing against his boot. "Human," she murmured. "Yeah? Do you regret sharing your water?" He looked at her through the soft glow. "Ask me after we find a way out of this." She smiled, closing her eyes. "You will not regret me." Rogan exhaled, muttering under his breath. That's what all the dangerous women say. But as he watched her breathing slow, her tail wrapping protectively around them both, he found himself smiling despite it all. Maybe, just maybe, he didn't regret it at all. When Rogan woke, the air itself felt different, not just heavier, alive. Every sound in the vault carried a faint hum, like an invisible choir vibrating inside his skull. Karesha was already awake, crouched by the glowing pools, murmuring to the alien runes that shimmered across the stone walls. Her claws traced patterns mid-air, leaving trails of blue light. He groaned, rubbing his face. "Morning already? Didn't even get a chance to have my usual nightmare." Karesha looked back with a small, knowing smile. You dream loud, human. Yeah, well, you snore in 4 languages. She blinked. That is a compliment? It's something. Her tail flicked once, which Rogan had learned by now was her version of laughter. Then she turned back toward the symbols. The vault speaks. The ancestors remember us. It says a trial remains, he sighed. Why can't the ancient alien ruins ever just give out a medal and say, good job, explorers? Because only the worthy may return, Rogan muttered, always with the worthiness tests. I'm starting to miss space bureaucracy. The room trembled, a deep chime echoed through the chamber, and the glowing pools turned to molten gold. From the center rose a platform, slow and deliberate, until it stopped level with their waists. Atop it sat a strange construct, half pedestal, half throne, carved from luminous black stone. Floating above it was a sphere of liquid light, swirling with images that moved too fast to recognize. Karesha bowed low. The final gatekeeper, Rogan crossed his arms. Looks like a fancy lava lamp. Her head snapped up, horrified. Show respect. Fine, fine, he muttered. Hello, your glowy highness. The sphere pulsed, and then it spoke, its voice like molten thunder. The Union of Hearts has entered unjudged. The final trial begins. Rogan winced. That's never good. Karesha's expression turned solemn. It will test our truth, our bond. If it deems us false, it will unmake us. Unmake us? As in, erased from all timelines. He threw up his hands. Oh, perfect. You forgot to mention the part where my atoms get emotionally evaluated. The floor lit up beneath them, symbols spiraling outward in bright blue rings. Then the gatekeeper's light fractured, and suddenly, 3 identical Kareshas stood around him. Rogan spun in place, blaster half drawn. Oh no, 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 no. I've seen this movie. Each Karesha smirked differently, one soft and shy, one cold and regal, one mischievous with a twitching tail. The regal one spoke first. Which of us do you follow, human? Your choice determines truth. Rogan blinked. Wait, this is the trial? Pick a Karesha? The mischievous one leaned close, whispering, Careful. Choose wrong, and the real one will eat you. The shy one's ears drooped. Choose me. I will not hurt you. Rogan's brain short-circuited. I'm being gaslit by space holograms. Karesha, the real one, was nowhere in sight. Of course, he circled them slowly, thinking out loud. Okay, real Karesha, smart, dangerous, has claws, threatens me constantly, makes fun of my posture, occasionally saves my life, but only after insulting me. The regal one smirked. You think too much, the mischievous one purred. You look best when confused. The shy one whispered. You look best when safe. Rogan stared for a long moment, then grinned. Yeah, definitely not her. He lifted his blaster and shot the shy one dead center. The projection fizzled out like static. The other 2 hissed, circling him. The regal Karesha sneered. You value danger? Lady, if I didn't, I wouldn't be here. He dodged a swipe of claws, ducked, rolled, and fired again, through the regal one's image. The mischievous one laughed. You think you know her so well? He lowered the blaster, meeting her glowing eyes. She never laughs at her own jokes. Then he stepped forward and kissed her square on the mouth. The mischievous one flickered, screamed, and vanished. The hum stopped. Karesha appeared behind him, eyes wide. You found me, he shrugged. Instinct. Also, you smell like burnt cinnamon and poor decisions. Her tail wrapped around his waist. That's affection. Sure it is. The gatekeeper's light coalesced again, its voice now softer, almost approving. Truth accepted, bond recognized, prepare for ascension. Ascension? Rogan asked nervously. Define ascension. I don't like vague verbs. Too late. The light expanded, swallowing them both. They were lifted off the floor, weightless, surrounded by streaks of ancient memory. Images flashed around them. Karesha's ancestors, vast worlds burning, alien ships fleeing through starfire. Karesha reached toward one image, a planet covered in crystal forests. That is home. Her eyes shimmered with emotion. It still exists. Rogan floated beside her, watching silently. Then almost softly, guess we're going then. Her gaze found his. Will you? Someone's got to keep you from licking radioactive artifacts. She smiled. Then we go together. The light snapped back into darkness. They landed hard, sand crunching beneath their boots. When Rogan blinked, he realized they were back on the desert plain. but not the same one. The horizon glowed with twin suns. Strange violet trees shimmered in the distance. The air smelled alive, sharp and sweet. Karesha stared around in awe. This is the world before my world. Rogan looked down at the sand. Feels like a sequel setting. She turned to him, eyes bright. You joke even before gods. Habit keeps me from panicking. Then joke again, she said softly. Because they are coming. From the dunes rose shadows, figures with glinting armor and eyes like molten gold. Dozens, maybe hundreds. Karesha's tail stiffened. My tribe. They surrounded them silently, weapons drawn but not attacking. One stepped forward, taller, more ornate, his armor gleaming like obsidian. His voice rumbled through the air. Karesha of the lost line, you return with an outsider. I return with my bonded, she said proudly. Rogan froze. Wait, bonded? Is that? Yes, she said firmly. Husband, he groaned. Oh, great. We're married now. The tribal leader's eyes flared. A human? Blasphemy! Karesha's claws extended. He passed the gate. He bled and breathed beside me. He is worthy, the warriors murmured among themselves, uncertain. The leader sneered. Then let the rite of binding prove it. If he fails, he dies, Rogan sighed. Of course. There's always a right. Karesha grinned. You will do well. You're awfully confident. I like watching you sweat. He pointed at her. That's love language, isn't it? Yes. They dragged him into a circular arena marked with glowing runes. At the center stood a stone pillar holding a small orb of pure light, pulsing softly. The leader announced, To be one with Karesha, you must withstand the heart fire. Touch it, endure, Rogan squinted. Endure what exactly? Your truth, he turned to Karesha. Why does everything involve pain with you people? She leaned in close, whispering against his ear. Because pain reveals what's real, he muttered. Can't we just, I don't know, take a compatibility quiz? But she was smiling again, proud, daring, loving. You already passed that. He took a deep breath, walked up to the orb, and placed his hand on it. Fire, but not burning, roared up his arm. Through his chest, straight into his mind, he saw flashes, his old battles, his loneliness, his laughter with her, the way she had looked at him in the sandstorm that first night. Every regret, every scar, every stupid joke, all of it laid bare, then calm. When he opened his eyes again, the orb had dimmed. The leader watched in silence, then bowed. He endures. The bond stands. Karesha's smile was pure pride, and maybe just a little awe. You did it, Rogan exhaled shakily. I'm officially fireproof. Officially mine, he snorted. You say that like it's negotiable. It isn't. That night, the tribe celebrated. Alien drums echoed under twin moons. Karesha dragged Rogan to a dance circle despite his protests. He moved awkwardly. She laughed freely. He leaned closer. You realize I'm just a mechanic with a blaster and bad knees, right? You are my warrior, she said, resting her forehead against his. And my fool. Your fool? Every goddess needs one, he grinned. Then I'm overqualified. As the twin suns began to rise, they stood at the edge of the dunes, looking out toward the horizon, where ancient ruins shimmered in the distance. Rogan wrapped an arm around her. So what now? She rested her head against his shoulder. Now, we rebuild. You fix machines. I fix hearts. He chuckled softly. That's dangerously poetic. It's the sand. It makes me dramatic. He looked at her. Fierce, beautiful, impossible. Karesha? Yes, human. Don't ever stop being you, she smiled. I wouldn't know how. The desert wind rose again, carrying the faint hum of the gate somewhere behind them, like a promise of another story waiting to open. And for once, Rogan didn't run toward it. He just held her hand tighter and laughed. End of story.